You're watching Cheche live on Citizen TV. Today's guest is Dr. Samuel Toure, a commissioner with the National Lands Commission and a chairman of the Task Force on Historical Land Injustices. And we've been talking about idle land before the break, and the suggestion came from Mutegi about taxing the land, and that's echoed by Tuni, a viewer in Kiambu. The best solution to land greed in Kenya is to tax land ownership. Since land is a factor of production, it should be used for production and not for speculation. Tax, tax, tax. This happens in the US and the European Union. Why can't we do it here?
And I think it happens in many other jurisdictions. It is a very sanitized way of dealing, as our viewer called it, greed. Because part of the problem we are having is really greed. So if we can tax, but even this taxing needs to be organized, needs to be systematic, needs to be equitable.
Okay, let's look at what you're embarking on. Right now, the Commission is not even sufficiently funded to perform its mandate. You are getting into another complicated task.
Actually, let's establish that. Is that true?
When Fasulu was here, he said 4 million. They were given. You also said how much were you given?
Now we have 1.69, almost 1.7 billion, yes, which is an improvement from 200 time and then 400 another time.
So how do you convince us that there is political will to address land issues in Kenya?
Political will, we will have to work on it, and that is why we are on this program.
I think now that's where I differ with people who hold this position. I mean, you have a mandate. You need certain resources and capacity to perform it. You don't have the mandate, the capacity, resources-wise, but you're still forging on with the task. How do we explain that? Why don't you say, okay, this task can be done, folks. We're going to disappoint you. We don't have the tools to do it. We have to call the country to attention. Nothing is moving here. National Land Commission is being strangled. The land problem is not going to be solved. Call the attention of the country to it, rather than continue piecemeal and achieve piecemeal results. Yeah, why can't you take that option?
That's good industrial relations advice, but I think it won't work. Why? We must continue working, even as we call attention to our...
No, because that's now where I have a problem, because then it becomes self-interest. People want to get employed and continue to do some work, yet they're not delivering the function which they are charged with. Why is that not an option?
Option to pull out?
Stop, and then the country will say, okay, now we have to sort this out in a big way. If there's no political will, we must bring it in.
You are the one who has just said there is no political will. How do you get political will unless you keep working at it, as we are doing even on this program? Because we are saying to the Mwananchi, right? We are saying to the Mwananchi, you've given us a job through the Constitution. Yeah? These are our difficulties. Now,
you draw Mwananchi's attention to your failure and frustrations by quitting.
And
going on go slow for 2 months until the country says, look, there's a problem here, executive must fix it, give them money, political goodwill must come.
That I will give to you. That is your opinion. I don't think I will.
Actually, it's echoed by several of viewers who believe that the commission, your task force actually, is a money-making venture because you're not going to achieve anything.
Now, what money are we making if we are saying in the first instance we do not have enough resources? I think Kenyans...
Are you drawing a salary as your task force, earning any sort of income, allowances, salary?
Of course we get paid. We are paid salary as commissioners. Those who come get a sitting allowance who come from outside. That's about it.
How much is the sitting allowance?
For outsiders, I think it's 10,000 per sitting.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. What sacrifice can you put to the country to have the problem resolved? If resignation or striking or going on a go-slow is not one option, then you're willing only to go to a certain extent as long as your comfort is guaranteed.
I don't think that is the case. Should it be in our heart as commissioners that the only way we can now talk to the country is to quit, you can be sure we will, because all of us at the commission are professionals. We are not job seekers as such. But you see, quitting has its benefits. Staying on and fighting for this country, for what we believe in very strongly, also has its merits.
Okay, don't quit. Stop operations. and call for a resolution of the dispute you're having first with the Ministry of Lands, which is encroaching on your territory of say, running around doing the things you think are your mandate, and they're going on, and you're also going on. How are you going to resolve that problem?
Let us give the Supreme Court a chance to pronounce itself on those issues, because we have gone before them to seek an advisory opinion on our mandate and the invasion.
Let me ask you a basic question. What land are you supposed to deal with?
What land are we supposed to deal with?
Is it all land in this country or certain kinds of land?
You know, this constitution went through a lot of manipulation when it was being made. The initial draft said we deal with all land. After Naivasha, now we are to deal with two aspects, so two tenures: public land under Article 62 of the Constitution and unregistered community land under Section 63 of the Constitution. So we deal with both community and public land by order of the Constitution. And we deal with community land until the law comes and that community land is registered.
If public land doesn't mean even land in cities and towns.
Public land is defined in the Constitution as various types: roads, river, waterways.
What about plots?
Plots in town can be private, because you see, you could have your own plot which has nothing to do with public purpose. But if it is, say, a school, a hospital, that's a public purpose.
The other day, the governor of Kajiado was here, and he said that he has given instructions. You cannot go by land in Kajiado County, in the interior, and subdivide it and give to people. He has stopped that.
Land for speculation. Okay? Now, that's what's annual. If it is public land, you see, public land is that land which is owned by county government as county government. So, for example, if they say, don't grassland, trust land also. But trust land, much of it would be designated as community land. Okay? When the community land law comes in, those which were called trust lands, most of them will be designated as community land. So public land will be very specific. It is that which is being owned, say, by a government, the county government or the national government, or those on which they are in occupation, but not leased from private entities.
So what is the governor's role in that?
But you see, the governor's role, sometimes, they overstep their mandate, but that's okay, because there has been
they're doing a good one on it. They're doing a good one.
Or not. No. I think the Kajiado case is slightly different, because he did that, and very quickly has accepted our county land management board to put things right.
I think the governor was just being careful with his county. Land should be planned properly, used properly, and not subdivided and introduce little plots all over the county. And private land, for that matter, I don't think even was concerned with what is called public land, which will be under your management.
Actually, let us give credit to him and to the county. They have facilitated the setting up of our county land management board. So now they are able to function as is expected.
Speak to that, because a viewer asked a question about county land development boards. They should have been in place in July, and it seems that the implementation has been a bit patchy.
County land management board, not county.
Sorry, thank you.
The county development boards are another case of county land.
You've got enough controversy to deal with, thank you.
County land management boards are set up under Section 18 of our Act. And there is a process, and this process requires that the members we propose be vetted by county assemblies. The vetting is taking a bit longer than we expected, but at least, as we speak, we have already sworn in 3 county land management boards where the vetting is complete. So every time a county finishes the vetting and they propose the names which are acceptable to them, we swear them in and we start work.
Okay. There are several viewers talking about land being grabbed, railway land, especially Mudhurwa, Ngala, Landimawe, Makongeni in Nairobi, and all major towns in Kenya. And that came from Komodo in Nairobi. Several viewers from Kitale have talked about land being grabbed, I think prison's land. How do you address all of this? You're settling historical land injustices, contemporary injustices are being committed. How do we ensure that this is not replicated?
Again, having a robust law, for me, is a solution. Otherwise, all other solutions, if they're just ad hoc and expedient and not permanent, that is where the problem is. But if we can get a robust law, which is what I'm pleading for, that we get a robust law into our
law, as far as I can tell, so even with the speed of a horse, it will not be blessed in the next one. Okay, you have other parallel programs going on, fixing the same land issues. Titles being prepared, we already in court over who should issue and sign those titles. You want the CEO of the Lands Commission to do it. The other side, the minister wants somebody else to sign the titles. Things are being fixed, repaired, validated, legalized. You are busy trying to set up a task force, go there. You put in place stopgap measures to prevent anybody meddling with what you want to do.
Yes, and haven't I made reference to the fact that one of the measures we took as a commission, only that is taking a bit long, is to say to the judiciary, make a determination about our mandate. So that once that is, because we think we are clear with our space. Yes. So we want that, that is one of the measures that we take to assure that as a constitutional commission, we exist and are in our proper space.
Okay. What about leasehold land? The land that these people started as a 90 years, 3 years, 99, whatever. Why do you come in there?
We are the ones to, on behalf of the county and national governments, extend new leases.
They have been doing it in hurry. And why are you here?
No, we haven't done it in a hurry. We've done it in a very systematic way. Only that now that has been made a contested space.
Yes.
So that is one of the issues that will be determined.
But there's a lot going on in the public that the Lands Commission is also not about reproach. That people are procuring leases renewals through dubious means.
I have not come across any. But remember, as a constitutional commission or a public entity, every Mwananchi has every right to hold us to account and to scrutinize everything we do. So if those Mwananchis have those kind of information, I think they should take action. I mean, the commission is not immune from being scrutinized and being held to account.
Okay. We're running out of time. Very quickly, give us a timeline for this law. Because you were supposed to have been gazetted in February. That didn't happen because you didn't have any money. You were gazetted in May. We haven't heard about you working. We're in what? August. So that's between May and August, that's 4 months. You have a 9-month mandate. So it doesn't sound like you have a lot of time within which to collect views from the Kenyan public and then come up with this law. Or am I being a bit too harsh?
I think what you are doing is to be sympathetic to us. But this is our timeline. As I've said, tomorrow we commence. So you can say we have been working. We have been working. We have been working because we have to prepare.
Work, right?
Yes. You know, some of this work you do quietly, you prepare, so that when you go out to listen to people's views, you have a platform of your own. Yeah. And we need to check those views. So
3 months of planning. Start tomorrow with your stakeholder engagement.
We'll hopefully end by October. Yes. As we are doing the stakeholder things, we are also beginning the drafting. But drafting proper in November and perhaps the first week of December. And that first draft now we put for validation. Hopefully by January, end of January, we will have done those validations and the commission can present the draft bill to Parliament in February. So that Parliament then will take its time. I can't predict how long they will take. If it were my wish, these laws should be with us before April next year.
Right. You do have some support coming in. There are those who say that you should be chairman of the National Lands Commission. And this one, Dr. Tere Forjon, ignore the advice to quit. But there's a question from Warjadia. Can you please speak to the injustices in Kibra, or don't you see any? And if you do see some, if you do see injustice, what plans do you have for the Nubian community? Because their case is black and white.
I think the Nubian case is one we even started with when we were hardly a week old in office. So we recognize that, as people of Kibera will remember, thereafter politics got in when we thought we were coming to a common understanding between the various communities in the Kibera case. So it's a case that we must resolve. And in fact, I always say to my colleagues that the day we resolve Kibera, the Nubian case, that will be a test case. So we haven't ignored, and it is one of those both historical and contemporary, because the Nubian case starts from their coming in after the First and Second Wars, and they were settled there. And so they have a genuine claim, both historical and contemporary.
What about those guys who are about 400 or Makonde?
Makonde. Yeah, they are one of those marginalized communities that require our attention. That's why we are saying this. And I think I have been saying this since we started the program. That let us come out, let us say what we want a law to say so that it can resolve our specific issues as communities or as individuals who have historical grievances.
Okay. Dr. Tere should take seriously this recommendation. The Commission's problems are political. The solution to them will come from political mobilization and not through court cases. Those frustrating the Commission are not doing so because of any confusion about the Commission's mandate. They are pursuing very clear political objectives. Kali is right. The NLC should quit to make a point to the national government instead of using taxpayers' money to go to court all the time because they have a crisis with the CS. That came from Charles Kariuki.
Why would it be that the Wananchi should be telling their government to respect the Constitution and let constitutional officers work? Why should it be okay for us to quit and not okay for the Wananchi to demand of government that constitutional commissions were created by the Constitution? They may be an inconvenience, but they are constitutional.
What do you make about the point that the confusion results from a very clear political course?
Political course by who? Certainly not by the Commission.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think? We're winding up, David. And this suggestion of yours that they quit is generating a lot of interest as we wind up the program.
I still hold that the Commission needs to make a bold statement of its inability to work, of the frustrations it's going through. It cannot continue to purport to work when it's not going to deliver its mandate. That is not acceptable. That is in the traditional way we do things. You go on even though you're not doing anything, you earn and you deceive the public that they are sorting out a major problem such as we have. It needs to make that bold statement. If they cannot quit, they should at least stop working to protest so they can draw the attention of the public to their inability to perform that function. Two, I also have a word for the Supreme Court. What are they still waiting for? A lot of time since that advice or opinion was sought. They have been dispensing matters, including election petitions, more frequently than I can remember. A matter that is holding the country ransom and so big like this ought to get the full attention of the Supreme Court. And it needs to communicate clearly to the executive and to the country the state of things. So there's a lot of failure, and what I'm unhappy about, and I'm a very worried person, that the land issue is not going to be resolved as long as we continue this dialogue. We just go on as we see political goodwill and nothing is happening.
It's speaks to this issue a viewer brings out. It took 20 years to get a new constitution, and you want the NLC to resign, but you just answered that. But Tegi, what do you think? A viewer, talks about the deliberate political obfuscation of these issues, tying the NLC's hand, and, by extension, probably hindering the work of the task force that Dr. Toure chairs. What would you say?
I admire spirit of travel and the fight. These things may not come to the solo fight for them. But that's the sad, because there are a lot of interest. If you look at all over the place, everybody wants land is taxable. Everybody who has a plot wants to stay with it. Those with huge chunks of land want to stay with it. And so there is no political will to do with land in this country. There's none. Maybe somebody talked about political mobilization. We need another mammo. It's a poor. Poor people are
a dangerous one.
Maybe another
It's even more dangerous. It's the riots on national television.
I'm not saying it's not happen. I'm saying maybe that can help. If you expect the people who have to give you, it will not happen.
As we leave, Sarah, I want to leave you with some of these messages. The NLC is doing a good job in spite of the machinations of the politicians. Let them keep working on it. We do appreciate. That came from Malile in Kibwezi. Then there's this suggestion: the commission should not go to the public again. They have all the information enough for them to draft the laws. And then finally, I hope you understand that this issue of land is equitable to a sick patient with a tumor expecting surgery that's not forthcoming, whose surgeon is the Land Commission, and hence why Ngili should be applauded for moving swiftly into settling this land issues. It's my feeling that the Land Commission isn't up to its task. So we've heard very mixed views from both our panelists and from our viewers. How do you respond to the uncertainty, both about the Commission's work and your task force's work?
I do not see uncertainty unless you are proposing to repeal the Commission from the Constitution. It's a creature of the Constitution, and as long as the Constitution is there, the Commission must be there and must do the job the Constitution said it should do. We have information, yes, but remember that the order of the Constitution is that every law that is going to be made must have public participation. So we are tied. We have to come to you, even if we think we have everything. Because if we don't, people will challenge and say that is a law that was made from the bottom. So we are under orders by the Constitution to come to you. And also because there is value in coming to you. The law is proposed to resolve your grievances. It's good that you have a say in how you want that law to look like, what you want that law to say about your grievance, and what you want that law to do for our children. Because we cannot continue revisiting our past with pain and doing nothing about it.
Okay, so thank you very much. We'll end today's conversation there with our thanks again to today's guest, the chairman of the Task Force on Historical Land Injustices, and also Commissioner with the National Lands Commission, Dr. Samuel Toure. We also thank our panelists, Tegi Jao and David Makali, for their particularly robust opinions today. We thank you for watching Cheche. We've been live on Citizen TV. My name is Udra Kanemo. Do enjoy the rest of the week.